budding charms, are you ready to make your 2025 much better? Yes, this is the best time to go for it, and you are going to get 55% off on our cbse subscriptions. So please make use of it, and this is a code that you want to use, and please get 55% on our subscriptions, and please don't miss it. So let's get started. Hey budding charms, we have come up with the next one-shot session, and this is on the topic called air, and this is from class 7. Geography, chapter number 4. So let's get started. And my name is Aishwarya Sindhu Ramachandran and I'm your geography educator today. So before getting into the main core of the session, let me tell you a few things. So please pay attention throughout the class and try to take down the important points. And not only that, if you find any kind of doubts in between, please don't hesitate to ask your doubts in the comment box. I'm here to help you out. So let's get started. So without much ado, let's dive into our contents. So these are the basic topics that we will learn today. So we are going to start off with atmosphere, then composition of atmosphere, structure of atmosphere, and finally weather and climate. So these are amazing topics. So please don't miss it. Just try to attend the session completely. So let's get started, and we are going to start off with, oh, what is this? Not clear, right? Don't worry, let me explain it for you. So this is nothing but our Earth atmosphere. If you consider our Earth, it is covered with a blanket of air, and this is called atmosphere. So let me tell you once again. If you consider our Earth, okay, this is our Earth. This has a blanket of air. Oh, so Earth is covered with a blanket of air, and this is known as atmosphere. Okay, so please take it down. This is known as atmosphere. But why this atmosphere is so important? What is the basic composition of it? We have to learn all these, right? Yes. And when you talk about the composition of it, oh, nitrogen is about 78%. That means atmosphere is abundant with nitrogen level, right? And what about the second one? Oh, it is our oxygen. 20% of oxygen is there in our atmosphere. And what about others? 0.03%, and inert gases 0.97%, and finally water vapor is about 1%. So this is how the composition is present in our atmosphere. And now we are going to talk about the basic importance of these gases. Why these gases are so important? We have to learn, right? Yes. So when you look at it, you can see that nitrogen is the most abundant gas among these. Oh, that means this has one more function. This bacteria helps in plants' nitrogen intake. That's so important, right? Yes. What about oxygen? This is very essential for breathing, right? Yes. And not only that, photosynthesis helps in the production of oxygen. How oxygen is produced? It's due to the photosynthesis. And we have to talk about carbon dioxide too. This is very much required for photosynthesis, and it also maintains temperature of Earth. We have to understand all these points really well. And now what we are going to learn? We are going to learn about structure of atmosphere. As I told you, the atmosphere is not a thin layer. It has various layers. And what are they? Troposphere, Stratosphere, Mesosphere, Thermosphere, and finally Exosphere. And now we are going to learn all these in detail. Now look at it. We are going to talk about Troposphere. So Troposphere is the innermost layer. And what about its average height? It's about 13 kilometers. All weather phenomena like rainfall, fog and hailstorm occur in this particular layer. And what about stratosphere? This lies right above troposphere, and therefore this has an extension up to 50 kilometers. And this is free from clouds and contains a layer of ozone gas too. And this is an ideal place for flying airplanes. That is also an important point. And now we are going to talk about Mesosphere. And what about Mesosphere? The layer right next to our stratosphere. So this lies above the stratosphere and extends up to a height of 80 km, and meteorites burn up in this layer on entering from space. And what about thermosphere? Thermosphere. It starts with T, so you have to understand that this is so much related to temperature. So in this particular layer, temperature rises very rapidly with increasing height. Very important. And ionosphere is also a part of this particular layer and extends to 80 to 400 kilometers. Look at it. It's very, very important. Ionosphere is also a part of thermosphere and extended up to 80 to 400 kilometers. And this also helps in radio transmission, and radio waves transmitted from the earth are reflected back to the earth by this layer itself. And now we are going to talk about the final layer, exosphere. And what is it all about? The uppermost layer of the atmosphere, and there you can find a thin layer of air too. And not only that, light gases like helium and hydrogen float into space from this layer. So this is how you need to understand the layers of atmosphere. And now we are going to talk about an important thing. It's all about weather and climate, and various factors are affecting it. What are they? The first one is going to be temperature. So what is with temperature? We have to understand that. Yes. So it's nothing but the degree of hotness or coldness of the air. So temperature is very important in terms of talking about weather and climate. So when you look at this, you can say that temperature is not constant everywhere, right? So it can change between day and night and season to season. You might have heard about summers, winters, all these, right? Yes. So summers are more hotter than winters. As we all know that summers are very hot, whereas winters are not hot at all. And what about insolation? We have to learn a new term here. This is incoming solar energy intercepted by the earth. Very important. Incoming solar energy intercepted by the earth, and influences the distribution of temperature too. Oh, so that means insolation is more at equator, whereas less at poles. And what about this one? We are comparing the temperature in cities and villages. So temperature in cities is much higher than that of villages. Why? Because cities have more buildings, and therefore these concretes and metallic ones can really get up, right? Yes, and not only that, or you can say the skyscrapers are going to trap a lot of warm air too. So these are various two reasons in which you can say cities are more hot than villages. And now we are going to talk about weather and climate again. So what is mean by air pressure? The pressure exerted by the weight of air on the Earth's surface. I told you, Earth is covered with a blanket of air called atmosphere. So the weight of air can exert a pressure on the top of Earth's surface, and this is known as air pressure. So air pressure is highest at sea level and it decreases with height. So that means if you go higher, the pressure decreases. So the horizontal distribution of air pressure is influenced by the temperature at that given place. And what about this temperature differences and how it is going to create a pressure changes over there? Let me tell you. So when temperature is high, the air gets heated up and rises. Oh, so that means it creates a low pressure area. So low pressure is associated with cloudy skies and wet weather. And what about if the temperature is less? If temperature is less, it becomes cold and heavy, and therefore it sinks, and you can say that it creates a high pressure area. Oh, so high pressure is associated with clear and sunny skies. So this is the way that you need to understand that how the temperatures or how the temperature changes are going to create pressure changes here. And now we are going to talk about weather and climate again, but based on wind. So what is wind? Very important question. I told you there are pressure differences. right? So these pressure differences can cause wind to flow. So the movement of air from high pressure areas to low pressure areas is called wind. Very simple. So permanent winds, seasonal winds, local winds. These are the three types of winds that we have. What about permanent winds? The westerlies, the easterlies, the trade winds, all these are considered as permanent winds. And what about seasonal winds? From the name itself, it's very, very simple to understand that the winds change their direction in different seasons. So, for example, monsoons in India. Very good, right? Yes. And what about local winds? These blow only during a particular period of the day or in a year in a small area. So this is nothing but a local wind is. And now we are going to talk about, again, weather and climate based on moisture. What does mean by moisture? Oh, so that's where you need to understand what is evaporation basically. So from water bodies, the water can evaporate, right? Yes. Then it converts into water vapor and the moisture in the air is known as humidity. You might have heard about this term a lot of times, right? When water evaporates from land and different water bodies, it becomes water vapor. So, the moisture in the air is known as humidity. So, when the air is full of water vapor, it is a humid day. And when the air gets warmer, the capacity to hold the water vapor increases so that the area becomes more humid. Please understand it. More and more water vapor, so more and more holding capacity, so more and more humid. And therefore, you can understand that the area becomes more humid. So when water vapor rises, it starts cooling. It can undergo a process called condensation. What is condensation? Very simple. The vapor gets converted into liquid. So it can cause precipitation. So due to precipitation, rain, snow, hail, all these different phenomena can occur. Convectional rainfall, orographic rainfall, and cyclonic rainfall. So these are the three types of rainfall that occur in different places. And now we are going to summarize the points what we discussed so far. So look at it. We started with atmosphere. Atmosphere is nothing but a blanket of air surrounding our earth. What about the composition of atmosphere? Nitrogen, oxygen, other gases, water vapor. What about the percentages? Please think about it. Very important. And structure of atmosphere. There are various levels. What are they? Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, exosphere, right? Yes. And what about weather and climate? These are dependent on various factors. What are they? Temperature, then air pressure, then we discussed about moisture and wind too. So that's all we discussed today, and I hope everyone really liked it, and that's the end of the class. We'll see you next day with an amazing session similar to this. Till then, have a nice day and goodbye everyone. Thank you so much.